All right, it is Wednesday, June 17th, and we are live. This Fans View Wednesday night. We have Carl, John, Lauren, myself, and very special guest, Bill Mattis. Welcome.
How you doing?
And did I pronounce it correct, Bill?
Yes, I believe that's correct. Thank you.
Right.
Very much. No H in there.
All right, so we are doing June 17th, so we're on to number 17, right, John?
Yes, we are. Yes,
All right.
Works out nice, doesn't it?
Yep. So 16 was
a great segue.
16 was a given, right?
It was, and then we had a record set with this one. 96% of the votes went to Bobby Clark. Surprising.
I'm surprised it was that low.
Right. 308 votes for Bobby Clark and 13 votes for the rest of them. So it was a good turnout. 321 voters, so that was very nice.
All right.
This week we're going to have a little bit more special. We're trying to make the show a little bit bigger and better because we figured, to still keep it all into the same tie-in with the who were best in Philadelphia. Even some of the outsiders that come in and play, they were here in Philadelphia and Ward as well. So we're opening it up to the outsiders, which we call this Fans View Outsider, for players that or the opponents. So we're going to run a poll for you guys. The viewers are going to pick that person, and we'll probably do that on Friday night. We'll put the poll up and let it go until probably Tuesday or Wednesday as well, to get more interest in that. So we did a quick one this week, and John Havlicek won the votes for that. So he's going to be our fifth voter in the poll. So for this week, we had two votes that we needed a little help with the Flyers and the Phillies, and the viewers picked for the Phillies, Scott Rowland, and for the Flyers, Rod Brindamore. He seemed to be a little bit of a popular one. And we had a lot more women voting this week too. So I don't know if that was Rod Brindamore's doing or not. We got for the Eagles the newly Hall of Famer Howard Carmichael, and for the 76ers we have that always in the playoffs JJ Redick. So we got a good competition this week. We had a couple good matchups with the Flyers and the Phillies. Wayne Simmons came in second to Rod Brindamore, and Rhys Hoskins came in second to Scott Rowland. So it was a lot of votes this week. So it was good.
All right.
So Mario, who do you have?
Well, just because you spelled his name wrong, I'm going with Howard Carmichael.
I didn't spell it wrong.
Yeah, he did. Look at his first name. You flip flop the.
Ah, gee.
Well, there you go. Yeah, look at this.
Well, at least Mario's paying attention anyway.
Oh, this is true. We have another first on the show.
Yes. The other first is we are also going live on YouTube tonight.
We are.
So we're streaming on both Facebook and YouTube. I just shared the YouTube link on my wall. So we'll go. There you go. You spelled it right. I'm still going with Carmichael.
Absolutely, the Hall of Famer for Philadelphia.
So,
Lauren, who do you have?
I mean, I guess I'm supposed to pick Harold Carmichael, right?
No, you can pick whoever you want.
Well, yeah, I know I can pick whoever I want, but being a Sixers fan, I obviously want to pick JJ Redick, but that's not really who wore it best.
Okay. At least we didn't get a who from you this week.
No who's this week, but yeah, I'll go with Harold Carmichael. To be honest, I'm not really excited about this one. This one's kind of
wow.
Yeah,
sorry. I think this one's gonna be an interesting one.
It's gonna be a good one, yeah. But Scott Rowland, he doesn't really do anything for me. Harold Carmichael, kind of a pain in the ass. Rod Brindamore, it's all right. So it's a group of all right fellas, and I guess I'll pick
you can't call somebody a pain in the ass and let it just slide by. You know what I mean?
I mean,
What's the deal?
no,
Other than we spelled his name wrong. What's the deal?
well, he deserves to have his name spelled wrong. But no, I don't like the way, we tried to have him in the store, and he wants this ungodly amount of money, and I just don't have time for that. I just don't have time for that. So I'm picking him because I'm trying to put that bias aside, and we'll just go with him. So that was a long-winded answer for Harold Carmichael.
Well, there you go. All right. So, Bill, who do you have?
I guess the difficult guy, Harold Carmichael, and his agent.
No, his other agent. He doesn't have the right agent.
Right.
Maybe that's why he's a pain in the ass.
It is why he's a pain in the ass.
Connect the dots. There
we go. So we get him the right agent.
Go.
He'll be better. All right.
There you go. We'll do everything but name names. Right, Mr. Mathis?
He's pleading the fifth.
She said it, not me. Okay, and in his defense, we believe it was the agent's situation that was causing all that, not him. But we don't know that for sure.
All right, I'm still voting for him. I'm trying to put all that past him and vote for him. Although I wanted to go with JJ Redick.
I would say you're the bigger man, but he's a really big guy.
Right.
Yeah, no.
We need to be standing on each other's shoulders for us to be the bigger men.
Somebody tell Jack Broder it's not Jill, but it is another woman.
All right. Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that.
That doesn't mean anything. That's just a coincidence.
There's a lot of great women in this world. We just ran into two tough ones, right. Mr. Mathis?
He is not going to say a word.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Come on, don't let me down.
By the second half hour, I might be able to say more, okay?
once that beer's a little bit lessened.
But of course, my wife left me with not enough beer. She went out, and I don't have enough, and hopefully she'll be back soon.
I was going to say, we're not going to have waitress service tonight?
Two of them.
Yeah, there might be. We'll see who's in the house. I don't know. Because my mom's texting me. I'm doing this by my phone, and my mom's texting me. It's just like...
Oh, now you know how I feel. Because my mom does the same thing.
All right, good.
So, and she's watching the show.
Thank God my mom don't have a cell phone.
She does. It's just a flip phone, and she never has it charged.
Did you see Nana trying to text me during the show?
No, she can barely answer the phone.
Oh, geez.
Oh, my God.
All right, Carl. The suspense is killing us here. Who do you have?
This is killing me. This is really, really killing me.
Uh-oh.
Because I want to go with the surefire Hall of Famer, but I got to go Rod Brindamore. I'm sorry.
I'm not surprised.
My allegiance takes me to the orange and black. This is about who wore it best, right?
This is true.
Number 17 wore it pretty damn good when he was a Flyer. So, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I am not surprised.
Okay.
John, who do you got?
I am going with Scott Rowland.
Really?
Yes, he was my favorite.
Is that because he was up there twice?
Yes. Somebody voted him. Plus, I guess they didn't see it. Maybe I spelled it wrong on that one too. But he was growing up there. He was a good player. I really, on the field he did what he was supposed to. He was played hard. Great glove at third base. Homegrown. He should have been our third baseman for the 2008 team when we went to the World Series. But
He
Kurt
got the
Schilling,
World Series in St. Louis, right?
he did. He got that 2 years prior, and Kurt Schilling got into his ear a little bit, and telling him how that supposedly the Phillies management wasn't going to spend the money to be a winner, and so once Schilling left, and Scott Rowland followed him a couple years after that, once his contract was up, and there's a little bit of bad blood, with some fans, but Scott came out later and apologized, for that he wasn't mature enough at the time, and he wishes things would have been a little bit different.
At least he admitted it.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's he went around, and but it was all good. So yeah, it was.
We are getting some comments on here, but the biggest comment is, where's Anthony? Your mom wants to know.
Oh, the show hadn't started yet when you asked me that. I was like, did she miss the beginning of the show? Mom, he's working. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Here's
a segue for Super Agent, because there's a request to have Scott Rowland do an autograph signing.
There we go.
Absolutely.
I haven't seen him do anything anywhere ever.
So that means he.
Probably... there's a huge show in St. Louis that they have. I think it's 3 times a year or 4 times a year. And if they haven't had him, I don't know who would have. But
somewhere in Indiana.
It's worth researching, but I have a feeling it's going to take a whole lot of money.
Who's that gentleman in St. Louis that does a lot of those private signings?
He's actually in Southern Illinois. Tom Orr.
There you go, Tom Orr.
Yeah, I have to talk to Tom. Maybe he knows.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't like doing them.
He's not a public guy. Scotty Rowland is. He's just not very. He's like even further public than Schmidt.
Well, and I can appreciate that, because there's nothing worse than a guy coming into a store to do a public signing that doesn't actually enjoy doing public signings. So.
Well, and that and the fact that he probably get booed.
I think it's by the 186 votes that he got here on the poll. I don't think he's. I think we're over that.
I agree.
I mean, that's once he came out and apologized, I think it's a different story.
Yeah, you're still going to have some sour people out there, John.
Oh well, you always will. I mean, but that's you have that for Ryan Howard, who's never really done anything wrong here other than get hurt.
Right.
So I mean, it's
which is not actually his fault.
No, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, so you're always going to have somebody who's going to complain or say something.
There's Super Griper on the board, Steve Harris.
I was wondering if you were going to see that.
Got something else to gripe about.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you listen for 5 minutes.
He could have drove up and been sitting there next to Lauren and taken Anthony's spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That chair's always open.
Hey, let's get back to that Scotty Rowland. I guess we could probably have him and Larry Boa sit next to each other. I mean, that would be good, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So how would that go? Let's play out that scenario.
Probably be a little bit better than the Bergie one.
Bergie and Bednarik?
Bednarik.
Or McDonald and Ken Iman. That was another bad duo.
But no, I think Scotty would definitely be a good draw if you can get him for
apparently so. I got a question for Bill Mattis. So a week ago Monday, you did a private signing with our number 16 winner, Bob Clark. Any good stories? Anything you could share with us?
Okay. When I was in 4th grade, we moved to Bala Cynwyd. I went to Bala Cynwyd Elementary School, and the teacher of my class put me with the other new kid. So we got to be friends, and I went over to his house after school, and every time I'd be over there, there'd be these big guys that would come in and out, in and out, in and out. And I'm like, who are these big guys? And they go, he says, they're from my dad's team. And I said, what teams your dad have? And he said, he coaches the Flyers. And I said, what are the Flyers? I mean, this is 1972. Okay, so they'd only been in the area for a few years and really hadn't caught on quite too much. And he said, yeah, they he's the coach of the Flyers, and the kid's name was Ray Shiro Shiro, or Ray Shiro now as he's known. And for my birthday, he came over and gave me a present, and it was a Bobby Clark stick, and it was a real Bobby Clark stick, had the tape and everything, and I used it playing street hockey. And of course, Clarky's left-handed, and I'm right-handed, so with the curve, my backhand was just unbelievable. My back, Anyway, that was one. And the other one was I took Carl, did I have Clark at your store one time?
Yeah, we did the LCB line together.
Yeah.
So I'm in the car with Clark, and he's a speak when spoken to type of guy. So he would have sat there like a statue the entire drive. So I'm trying to find things to talk about. And we talked about his match with the Russians and how that all went down. And he told me about how he had been really misquoted about taking out the guy who was the big star by breaking his ankle and that kind of thing. He said, but I will tell you this, I've never really liked them at all. And I said, really? He says, in fact, I was the GM, I think he said GM or coach of Team Canada in the Olympics. And I think they were going from one tournament to another, and the Russians asked if they could hop a ride with the Team Canada, and he said, tell them I said F you. And off they went. And I said, okay, so you still don't really like them a whole lot. He's like, no, not at all. So I thought that was but a great guy, really a great guy, always smiling, always very nice, very cordial, goes out of his way to be, helpful. And, I don't think Carl, we haven't had a bad experience with him yet. Not quite.
We have not.
He's awesome.
Did you get Steve Harris any Robert Earl Clark pucks signed?
I didn't. I actually didn't get any requests for it, so I figured he probably has a pretty good supply of them at this point. Yeah,
he's lurking on the board. That's coming. That he wasn't asked.
Well, we kept it to a minimum because of the whole situation. It was just me and Fran, and we wore the masks, and we cleared it all through his daughter, who obviously works at the building, and she made it so that it could happen. And it was on the basis that it was just the two of us and not a parade of 16 different dealers and such. Right. So he felt a little bit more comfortable. He came in without a mask. Remember, he's from Florida. So he came in without a mask. He had it in his hand. He was carrying it.
Well, his hand was protected.
Never put it on, right. And, we had him on in the beginning. By the end, we really didn't. I think Fran might have. But, again, it was just a great signing. And, talking about golf, talking about Flin Flon, he was on his way to Flin Flon for the summer. And, it's always great to see him.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yep. So we have somebody asking about what happened with the Berge story.
It was just
that's a good one. Yeah, that's a real good one. So I had Berge and Bednarik together, and in true fashion, Bednarik showed up early. He's sitting down at the table, and here comes Bill Berge. Bill takes one look, and he looks over, and he goes, "Oh, the second greatest linebacker in Eagles history's here, I see." I thought he was kidding. I thought it was a joke. I started laughing. He goes, "No, I'm dead serious." And I'm like, "Oh." He goes, "Don't ever do this to me again." He goes, You're not sitting me next to him, are you?" I'm like, "Well, I've only got one table." So he was not happy. Apparently he was not a Chuck Bednarik fan. So
And
Yep.
you didn't have the room to put Steve in between them?
no.
Did he ever say why?
No, I didn't ask. I was just hoping that hour was the fastest hour, of the day. And when I walked him outside, he goes, "Man, that was awkward." He goes, "I wish I would have known." I'm like, "You might want to check your messages." I said, I thought I mentioned that to you, but yeah. But I've had Bergie back a couple times. He forgot all about it now, and Chuck has since passed. And you've worked with them both quite a bit yourself, right, Bill?
Yeah, and Chuck was never one to not take an opportunity to pat himself on the back, and I think that's probably where Bergie didn't like him, because Chuck was very self-promoting, so to speak, and he truly believed he was the best linebacker of all time, and he made it clear to everybody. And then towards the end, Chuck got kind of crazy and started speaking Polish to people and things like that, and it was concerning, because he would seem like he was really angry at one time, and he was just faking it. And I don't know, maybe I think Bergie must have just had a bad run-in with him at some point. They did all those events they do down at the stadium together. Eventually somebody's got to knock heads at some point, and I guess those two did. But Bill Bergie, can I tell you something? Bill Bergie, I talked to players who played with Bill even before he was with the Eagles. Guys like Tommy Casanova and Glenn Dressler and a bunch of guys that played for the Bengals back when Bergie was a rookie. And they all say, "Tell Bill I said hello." He was the greatest. And I've never had that from, I should say, he's one of the guys that gets that the most from people who I talk with. Because, when you're talking to these players, you're trying to find something in common, and you remember that they played for the Bengals, and you're like, Bill Bergie's a good friend of mine. Oh, Bill Bergie. And now you have a conversation. So that's where that comes from. But he is genuinely liked by all of his teammates. So something must have gone wrong with the narrative.
I met him once up at Victory Brewing, I think it was, and he was walking in there picking up food, and I went over to talk to him for about 20 minutes. Seems like a very nice guy. Bergie.
Yeah, Chuck, Carl, remember Kenny? Kenny was his
son-in-law.
Well, Kenny wound up being his agent, and Kenny sometimes wasn't the easiest guy to work with, but we seemed to always get something done. And Kenny used to tell me that Chuck used to go to church like twice a day, every day, like in the morning, first thing, and then at night. He just was a different kind of guy.
Wow.
Yep. Good old Coopersburg, Pennsylvania.
There may not be an Eagles image that's greater than him standing over Frank Gifford,
right?
Just from the historical standpoint, whether you like that thing or not, from an Eagles standpoint, that's a pretty famous image.
Yeah.
Hey, funny you're talking about photos and images. I like that photo of Bergie chasing down John Cappelletti as a Ram. I like that photo.
It's funny. Somebody wrote to me and said, "Was that from Cappelletti's rookie year?" And today, with the computer the way it is, I jumped on footballreference.com and found that the Rams only played the Eagles in like Cappy's third year in LA, because it was clearly a grass field, not turf, so it couldn't have been the vet. And I said, unless they played them in preseason, which they wouldn't have back in those days, they would never play a game cross country preseason. I said it had to be this year, which was Cappy's fourth year. But it's a new picture.
Very cool. I like that.
Wow.
I like that. Lauren, what do we got?
Well, we've got a lot to talk about between Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League, and the National Basketball Association. So, Dad, I'll let you pick which one we start with.
Well, let's go hockey, because they seem to be the ones that could be the first up and running.
Okay.
It's between them and the NBA, right? I mean, it's a coin flip.
Pretty much, yeah.
It appears that, the NBA already has the location. I read today that there's three hotel resorts down there where the teams are actually going to stay, and they have it all broken down into different tiers. So that's going to be interesting.
So what locations do they have?
As far as the hotels,
No. Areas that they're going to be playing in. Is it all just one?
Yeah, it's all going to be at the Wide World of Sports on the Disney.
Oh, so you went basketball.
What's that?
Sorry, you went basketball.
Well, it's basketball and hockey. Mario was asking about that, and I was back and forth. But
okay,
I don't know.
Have they picked the locations for hockey yet?
Vegas is
I only know of one city.
That's what I thought. Okay, so we got Vegas and we got Florida.
Well,
right?
Florida is the only location for basketball.
Right, and right now Vegas is the only location for NHL so far.
Right, but they need others.
Right. The way I understand it, there's 3 more cities that they're to choose from. Is that what everybody's hearing?
Yeah,
but
Columbus is going to be another one, and maybe Pittsburgh as two of the for the Eastern Conference, and then
there's no way they pick Pittsburgh. There's no way.
Well, that's what they're saying.
Why not? It's a yellow area.
Yeah, why not?
Are they green
No,
yet?
they're green now.
They're green now. Yeah. So why not?
That's part of the reason why, and that's why there was, them and Columbus. They just weren't sure if Columbus was going to be big enough for practice facilities or not. But yeah, that's going to be the only downside if Pittsburgh for the Flyers going there to play the games.
Is Pittsburgh in it?
They will be.
Okay.
Well, as far as
they're one of the top 4 seeded teams.
Okay. Yeah, my mom said she heard Pittsburgh too. She just said that on there.
But yeah, I mean, I've heard the rumors. I just didn't know. I just didn't know it was that serious.
Right, and then Toronto was another one that they were talking about.
We can't even get the borders open. So how are you gonna?
Right, and
that's what I was saying. Are there any Canadian teams in it? Because I guess if it's possible, just put them all up there. But they're going to have to get if there's any Canadian teams in it, they're going to have to get them down here. So they're going to have to cross the border.
Right.
So go ahead.
Well, according to Jack, none of the NHL cities are finalized. So I guess they're still, playing with that. But yeah, I mean, you got to figure out something. The border's been pushed back another couple of weeks. I just heard that the other day.
Yeah.
So if that's the case and the borders are getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, it's a possibility that the whole thing's going to get either thrown out or pushed back even further. So then do you run the risk of running into the start of the 2020 season? If that's even a possibility.
That's going to be pushed back anyway. The 2020.
Okay. All right.
They're already talking about the NBA already said they're not going to start till December 1st, and possibly not until Christmas.
Okay.
And then the same with hockey is going to get pushed back as well, because they're talking August that they're going to be starting playing games for the hockey and the basketball. So
okay,
you can't start a season up right away. So
I think they're also going to have to see if another round comes around with the whole thing.
No, right.
So go ahead, Carl. I'm sorry.
Let's figure out the 4 best cities to have this tournament in. What are the amongst the 5 of us and whoever's live with us? What are the 4 best cities to? Michael Taylor just said Nevada's numbers are climbing, so that's going to deter things there. But let's pick 4 cities just for Let's just pick 4 cities for the heck of it. What's everybody thinking?
Well, Nevada would make sense because they got a crap load of hotels, right?
No, of course, yeah. But
if they're starting to have a second coming of this thing, then that's going to be out.
Well, that's the problem with all of it. Once you start opening things up, you're getting the second wave. So
Right.
things aren't closed. I mean, or aren't getting better. It's just we're all quarantined.
Yeah.
So it's so of course it's going to go down, but
And-
until you have a vaccine, you're not really going to get things fixed out. I mean, look at the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans. They got cases of it now, and Major League Baseball's got cases of it. So,
And now Joe Stinger said that Florida's numbers are going back up.
mhm.
All right, so this isn't going the direction that I thought it would go. So,
Oh no, well, I mean,
Jack picked North Dakota. And
That's
I
his favorite all the
I
time.
love the idea of Vegas. I love the idea of Nashville. I love the idea of
Yeah.
maybe Toronto or Edmonton. You know what I mean? But I don't know about travel, schedules, and long flights and that sort of thing. So, anybody?
So you're talking probably big cities.
No, I'm talking picking 4 cities
Okay.
that we think might work. That's all I'm saying.
Ugh.
I'm not Johnson and Johnson. I don't have a vaccine that I can give to everybody. So I'm just throwing it out there. 4
You're
cities
talking hypothetically.
might make sense. That's all.
Okay.
There you go. Sean's in with Carolina. So
How about L.A.?
there you go.
I mean, they can handle it, so why not? So, all right. So
we're gonna have to look for. I like Minnesota as well. They're just Stinger.
yeah.
Them and
How about Chicago?
I mean, they're all central, so you got to keep it where it's some out to the west, so that the West Coast teams are
Okay.
they're not traveling as much, and the same with the West or the East Coast. So that's why I think Pittsburgh was another option
For the East Coast.
Maybe St. Louis, where they just won the cup last year, and there's plenty of Budweiser there because that's that's a good idea, right, Bill?
Well,
Yep.
I mean, the NHL already narrowed it down to 10 cities.
Right.
This isn't like free game. They've already identified the 10 places that they think it would work in. So it's a matter of determining from those 10 places where they go.
right.
Okay.
So
And the problem is, but Vegas was one of their top ones, and now they're spiking up. So now it might be getting crossed off the list.
well, I mean, I just hope that everybody kind of understands that the numbers are going to spike because more tests
Right.
are being done.
Right.
So that's only natural that those numbers are gonna start to go up. I mean, when they start to skyrocket, then that's kind of a different story. But there's much more testing being done because more people are going back to work.
Doesn't
right.
that tell you that it's still out there though, and that it's still looming and dangerous? And
Oh yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
absolutely. And I don't know that enough people take it seriously because I see more people covering their neck with their masks than their face. People who don't put it over their nose. I don't know what they think's going on there. Some people just don't wear it at all.
Right.
I was at Green Dragon, which is in Ephrata, probably 2 weeks ago. And I would say 10% of people there had one on. And it
Right.
was packed.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess it all depends on preference, but so many folks are like, you're not going to keep us cooped up anymore. We're not wearing your masks. So, yeah, numbers are gonna go up. But I think a lot of that just has to do with a lot more testing that's actually finally happening.
Right.
Oh, that and plus more people are getting in contact with each other now too. So
Yeah.
where you're at home, so it's going to spike, and that's why, like I said, I think a lot of it's going to be put on hold. Sound like Debbie Downer, but it's just.
Well, that's why I think it's important to look at the places that didn't see a lot of cases to begin with.
Right.
Because they obviously, there's less population. Things are much more spread out. So everybody was so quick to sort of jump on Pittsburgh because nobody likes Pittsburgh. But they were one of the first counties to go green.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that essentially, if you want hockey back, you might have to swallow your pride on that rivalry
Yep.
to get it.
Yeah, and so Jack brings up a good point. Minnesota's having some issues right now, so I'm not sure they want to go there.
That's the thing. You know.
So I mean, they probably have the facilities, but with all the turmoil that's going there, I don't think that's a good decision.
Do you think there's any place that really is a good decision? Because to me, I don't see the point. And at some point you got to ask, is it worth it? And if we had, and certainly I'm not a doctor and I don't know, I'm not a disease specialist or anything like that, but until we have some sort of medication that fights the virus, doesn't have to cure it, just fights it enough that it keeps people alive, or until we have a immunization, I just don't see what the point is of trying to get sports going again, because you can't have stands filled with fans, because that's a problem. I don't know how the owners can possibly pay the players if they're not going to be able to sell admission tickets. I mean, advertising revenues, online sales of merchandise, if that's enough to pay the players, then man, they're making a lot of money when we actually have fans.
Well, the problem is they make their money on the TV contracts. The TV contracts is what pays.
But I don't think the TV contracts are going to be enough to pay everybody for what they're trying to do. And then there's the player side of it all. The players are now putting themselves at risk.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to do the old Olympic community type thing where they sequester them off, away from everybody, and now they're away from their families just so they don't catch anything. And then one guy gets it, everybody's going to get it. It's just a very bad thing. And again, I ask the question, is it worth it? Why don't we just take a seat back, wait till we have some sort of cure? You know what? If they come up with something that fights the disease and keeps people alive by, I don't know, August 1st, then maybe you can have an NFL season, maybe. At that point, I can see. Then maybe you could talk about doing something NHL or NBA starting in December. And you can go back to spring training in February. But until then, I just don't see what the point is. But is it that important that we're going to put people at risk to have sports? To me, I don't see it.
I think maybe they're doing it to make it look like they're trying, but in all actuality, knowing that it's not going to happen.
Well, then why even try?
It's very possible that they're doing that with the hopes that they come out with a vaccine before all this goes down, so they have a plan in place when it does.
Well, the vaccine's not going to come out by that time. That's not going to be around until at least. But a possibility is a drug that could fight the disease and
right.
the effects of it. But again, talked about the NBA. They had an agreement based on the players' reps actually agreeing, but they didn't talk to all of the players, and so half the players are saying they don't even want to do this because it's not right. And then you get the whole social civil unrest that's going around the country, and they're talking about going to play basketball in Disney World. I mean, it just doesn't jive, especially with everything that's going on. And I'm probably losing all my positive following that I have here on the program. To me, I just think
who's got the button?
Sorry, let me hit it right now.
Hit that button.
To me, I just think there's more important things to worry about than whether or not we can jam an NHL playoffs down everybody's throat. I just don't see it. And then just take a break. Let's get this thing cleaned up. Let's come back in February. Let's make it happen next year and go forward. That's how I look at it. Unless they come out with something that can fight the infection.
Well, we've got bad news too. Just came out, a little bit that the NBA Players Association is saying that they're not even going to have fans in the stands next year when they play.
Wow.
See, once there's a vaccine, I don't see why that's necessary. I think once there's a vaccine, then I think we're fine. It's just.
But they're saying it's going to be 18 months for the vaccine, so that'll be in the next year. March,
that'll be towards the end of next year.
Right, and that's why they were saying that they're not going to have anybody playing in the 2021 season.
Wow.
Have fans in there is what they're thinking right at the moment.
That's tough.
But yeah,
That's
You know,
tough.
and the NFL's, the owners are complaining if they're going to have no fans in the stands this year, they're going to have to cut like $80 million off of the payroll next year, off the salary cap.
Wow.
And so the Eagles are $50 million over the cap right now. They're going to have to cut like $120 to $130 million off the cap. They said there can be a lot of unemployment with the players, with guys
Right.
being cut.
Well, tell the players to join the club, because there's a lot of
Right.
unemployment out there right now, and it's the way it is. I don't see the desperation. That's all. That's just me. But
Well, we got a lot of comments saying a lot of people want sports back because seriously, they're sitting at home now that people are going back to work, but they're sitting at home. They had nothing to do. Sports would have been a good break from everything.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I don't know. But so what's Sue saying here? How do you prove you got the vaccine when the fans are allowed? Yeah, that's another thing. So I don't know. I think it's going to be touch and go for a while. Seriously, I think they're doing it so they can have something in place in case a vaccine or a drug does come down. So, they can get moving once that happens. But who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, I think, kind of hit it right on the head as to why we're doing this. It's all about morale, and ratings are going to be through the roof. So whatever the TV contracts were before, they're probably doubled, if not tripled at this point, because they know everybody's going to be glued to their TV from start to finish, whether it's their team or not.
Right.
Because sports have always been a distraction for us. No matter what was going on in the world, sports were always happening.
Right. And the salaries are down too, right?
Yeah. So you're prorating some of that stuff, but I mean, you're going to be making a crap ton of money off these TV ratings because ratings are going to be through the roof. And I think that's what the owners are looking at. The players want to play, and if they're comfortable with it. The NBA released a 100-page document yesterday about how they plan to execute all of this. And they're not even forcing the players to come back. They're saying, let your club know if you're coming back by June 24th.
Right.
Wow.
So they're not forcing the envelope, which will be interesting to see who comes back and who doesn't. But they have a full plan in place for if a guy tests positive and what happens to him, where he goes into quarantine, all that kind of stuff. They've set up golf courses and bowling alleys and roller skating rinks just for these guys, so they can still have activities on downtime and stuff. So they seem to really have kind of a good handle on it. But I think what shuts it down immediately is if it spreads like wildfire somehow throughout these teams.
Yep.
I have a feeling that, the TV that you currently know and love is not going to be the TV that you'll see at that point.
No.
I have a feeling it's going to be pay-per-view. It's going to be, you want to watch the Phillies tonight? It's $20, or something like that.
Or a special package with your carrier or something like that. Yeah.
It's going to, somehow, everybody's going to have to pay for it, one way or the other.
And it's also just going to feel different. Everybody wants sports back so bad, but you watch the sports that are back, and yeah, they're okay, but it's almost a little depressing because you're constantly reminded of the fact that you can't actually be there. Watching, NASCAR having fans, golf having fans, even wrestling. There's nobody around. It's pretty quiet for the most part, except for when the guys are talking and whatnot. So it's going to be really interesting to see it on TV for the first time when no one's there. I'm sure they're going to try to tighten their shots and try to avoid any part of the crowd that you can see, but it's going to be inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I watched. Go ahead, Carl.
So my little nugget on the WWE is they're shut down because one of their prime times tested positive. So that Orlando arena that they were using for all that fun stuff on TV has now been shut down.
Really?
Yes.
When did that happen?
Within the past day or two, I read it.
Wow.
Yep. So apparently, and I guess, if the one tested positive, now they're, going through everybody that he came in contact with.
Wow.
So, but NASCAR is supposed to have fans in the stands this weekend.
Really?
They're in Talladega. They're in Talladega on Sunday, and I don't know how many fans. I don't know how it's working, but that's what they announced. That's a little bit different. The sports that that we see, and we were talking about it a little bit, pre-show. And kidding around with baseball guys, 4 or 5 guys touch the baseball. You know what I mean? It's crazy to think, but we're all sports junkies. I think every one of us here in this room and on the board tonight is a sports junkie, and that's basically what we know and love.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see.
So that's on Sunday, Carl?
Talladega.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I'm curious. I think it probably starts around 3:30. I think that's the time NASCAR usually starts on Sundays. I'm curious to see what they do, how they section everybody off to keep them distance. I don't know. So I know. So Lauren, I watched Korean baseball a little while ago when they first started.
Yeah.
And it was odd watching them with nobody in the stands. So
the odd thing to me was the band. They had like a 4-piece band and 3 cheerleaders that were dancing, and the music's playing. There's no crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and the umpires had masks on and gloves. I think one of the players actually had a mask on too. Just it was very different to watch.
Mm.
So, and the announcers were in Cleveland, so I thought that was a little weird too, but they got it done.
That's called social distancing.
Yeah.
So speaking of Sunday, you want to go right into Father's Day? We got about.
Well, hang on for 1 second, because we missed our memorabilia segment because we all got carried away, mainly me. So, Bill, I'm assuming then I pretty much got your answer that all shows pretty much are going to be shut down. Autograph signings, shows, where there's large groups of people. I mean, does that make sense as well?
Well, I spoke with the guys that run the Pittsburgh show, Mainline, and they're trying to wait as long as they possibly can to see if there's any possible way to have their show in September. It originally was scheduled for May, but both of the brothers kind of are just saying the logistics of it all, for what they would have to do to make it happen, it's just too many hoops to jump through and to still put people at risk to be worth it. And it all comes back to that same question: is it worth it? And Chantilly just canceled their July show. They're talking about maybe trying to do something in August where it's just a card show. There's no signers. You put the dealers like 6 feet apart. People would have to buy day parts for admission instead of the whole day. They can only come in from 12 to 3 or 3 to 6. Actually, there has to be an hour in between day parts to be cleaned. And again, it just gets to a point where you're like, do I really want to go through this? Do I really want to, go through all of these hoops to still put people at risk? And, I just don't see a point to it. And the danger of what could happen, does liability, does the liability policy cover if somebody dies from a disease that they think they got from your show? It's just, there's too many bad things that can happen in lieu of the good things. And just a little bit more patience, whether it's a couple months, 6 months, why not wait? That's kind of how I feel about it. Now, private signings are a little different, where it's a venue where you have the player and 1, maybe 2 people interacting with the player. Everything comes through and, is prepared ahead of time, and the guy signs it, and then, you can take pictures and that kind of stuff. But that's about all I see happening, because, a lot of the players are a little itchy about wanting to get in front of a crowd of 100, 200, 300 people, because most of these guys that I deal with anyway are 50 or over, and they become one of those high risk classes. And so, again, is it worth it for them for $2,000 or $500 or whatever fee it is that they get to go out there and sit in front of a table and potentially get sick? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of unanswered questions, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know that they're unanswered. I think it's just to a point now where you just keep moving the bar forward and saying, okay, we can't do it in July. Let's take a shot at October and see where things are in October. The problem, though, that you have with shows, and Jim and Mike told me, made this clear. If you're doing a show on September 1st, you got to have everything booked by the middle of July. That means plane tickets, that means hotels, and there's cancellation fees. There's all sorts of stuff that goes wrong if you have to then not have the show. So you got to make that decision at least 60, 90 days ahead of time as to whether you're going to follow through and have the show. So at this point, I'm looking at, Chantilly's next show would be scheduled in October. That's the one you're looking at as possible. They seem to be fairly aggressive. People in Virginia are a little bit more aggressive about recognizing whether there really is a virus or not. And, that would be, I would say, the next possibility for a show.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah, I'm sure the players themselves, like you said, aren't going to be rushing to get out there too much.
Makes sense.
But they do want to do private signings.
For the privates, yes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dealers who have done so well over the last 3 months online that they don't need to do a show. They just assume do the privates and sell the stuff online. So,
and the current guys barely wanted to do signings as it was.
right.
So now they're definitely out. And like you said, the older guys are now in that higher risk class. So now you have a very specific crowd of like 40 and 50-year-old retired players that just sort of recently came out of their professional sport that might be into it depending on how they personally feel about the virus.
Right. Well, and then there's the other side of things where the people who I feel worst about is, guys like minor league baseball players whose careers have been put on hold for a full year now. Their development where they may have thought that they were playing at AA this year, and the next year they're going to be at AAA. Well, guess what? They're probably still going to be at AA next year.
Right.
So now they've been set back an entire year or more. Then you got the college kids that have lost their eligibility unless they get granted a 5th year. They're losing out on that. You got high school kids that have same situation. There's just a lot of other problems that have been incurred because of the whole situation. And those are the guys I feel the worst about. A lot of the major league and pros that are out there, made some money already, and they're okay. It's just these other guys that are fighting to get there that probably are the ones that are hurting the most.
Is it possible somebody could miss their window of opportunity?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Well, you also got some guys that, in the league that might be 38 years old. And they had that one more year and they just got signed for that one more contract. And now next year they're going to be 39 and the team's going to be like, you're too old.
Right.
Yeah. So, you have guys who are going to have to either retire early or miss their window to actually get into something concrete.
Yeah. And trust me when I can tell you that as you get older, it's not as easy to turn it right on again, too. If you've been sitting around your house and just even working out is not the same as taking on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
There's a period of adjustment that's going to have to occur. And if you're 38 years old, teams aren't going to want to go through that adjustment period. They'd want to probably invest that time in one of the younger guys that they're trying to develop instead. So I think you're going to see going forward when we all get started again, a really big youth movement where a lot of these younger guys are going to get a better opportunity than they ever had. Yeah,
absolutely. Yep, and then, like you said, that AAA guy that's 24, 25 years old, he's right there on the border. Do I stay in there? Do I have a shot? Like you said, he's the one that's going to be that could get affected the most by it. Like I said, that's not even going to be able to realize his dream that he's played his whole year, his whole life,
Right.
to get to. So
Well, that was one thing I was wondering about. If when they were talking about starting up the season, I was thinking if they did actually start the season, could each team bring back 25 minor leaguers to play an interleague game against each other in the morning, and then have the major league game that night, just so that the top prospects of every organization could have a chance to stay active and stay playing and stay developing. At least they'd have a chance to work out with the team and be able to stay in the game. It wouldn't help all the prospects, but at least some of the top guys could still keep playing and be sort of like a bench for the major league team if in fact something were to happen and somebody contracted the virus and they needed some sort of substitutions.
Right.
that's a good idea. That probably is what's going to happen, because they said they're going to have to expand the rosters for the major leagues and have them quarantined as well, so that they can, because otherwise you're going to wait 14 days to get quarantined. So, so yeah, they're going to have other players around, and
Right.
that might be a good idea. Like you said, if the Phillies and the Braves are playing tonight, then the Phillies and Braves minor league teams play each other earlier in the day to keep them up and
Stay
like
sharp.
I said, stay sharp for when they need to come up. Because like I said, because if somebody's sitting for a month, if they do come up, they're not going to be able to just go, go out there and play. Now you're facing Randy Johnson in his prime, or whoever.
By the way, I wanted to point out, I did see one comment go by about Flyers being on the ice and they're ready to go in August. No, the Flyers are not on the ice. I was with Clark last week, and he told me that they're all working out at home. When they are together, they're not allowed to have more than 5 players on the ice at one time together. They are not allowed to be on the ice more than 30 minutes, and then they can switch to another 5 if they do have a team activity. So it's not like they're ready to go. They're not.
Right.
They're not even close. And most of them, when I was there, I said, "Are the guys staying in the hotel locally?" He goes, "No, none of them are here. None of them. 0."
So they're still all at home.
Yes. Now they've been brought in once for a mini camp, so to speak, but there was rules. Like I said, they can only have 5 on the ice. And he said it was almost not worth even. They were just going through drills. Was really what it was. Getting conditioning done and stuff like that. And they're all supposed to be doing conditioning on their own virtually, and they kind of record it and that kind of stuff.
And Doug Peterson we were talking with Carl before the show. Like Doug Peterson was already saying, we're going to have these guys over here, this guy over here, in the NovaCare Center doing things. It's like you said, you're going to have 4 or 5 guys in a group doing practices. It's you're not able to get that team.
And and the other byproduct of all of this is if you can't do things the way that you've always done them, and you can't prepare the way that you want to prepare or should be preparing, what's going to happen? You're going to have injuries. You're going to have problems.
Yeah.
People are going to lose their careers because of it. I'm not trying to say that the guy who tore his Achilles was because of that, but it could be because he was doing drills that he wasn't used to doing. I don't know. I'm just saying that that's another byproduct, that if you just throw these guys right into the season, I don't know what you're going to get.
Right. Yeah. You're going to get more injuries. Is exactly what's going to happen. And like I said, and especially like a sport like basketball, that as much jumping and everything like they do, they're going to have issues, pulling hamstrings, Achilles.
Is there any way to block Steve Harris off of the?
Bill Mattis, you want him blocked?
Nah,
We will block him.
Hey, is
Lauren, take care of that.
Brandy's place reopened yet? Is it green yet? Brandy's place, is it open?
No,
Oh, my God.
He's scared to death.
that place is
He is
still in
scared
red.
to death.
Rightfully so. You should.
Yeah.
All right, I'm calling comment of the night on that one.
Yep. Well, there you
Hey,
go.
here it is. It's 7:30. I don't know that we hit all our marks, but Lauren, what do you got?
I got to get my product in. There we go. Hoping I get some free bud for that.
There you go.
Hopefully.
There you go. Um,
Well, we'll
So-
start with our takeaways for the evening, unless you guys had any more touch points. No? All right, Mario, what do you got?
Having sports back would be nice. Keeping everybody safe would be better. Going to wish all you guys that are fathers a happy Father's Day coming this weekend. Hope you're doing something good. I will be down the shore shark fishing all weekend. So that's my takeaway.
That sounds
John?
good.
I'd like to thank wish everybody a happy Father's Day as well for this weekend, and make sure you treat all your dads nice. Hint, hint to the guys watching on the show, and hopefully sports will be back. But we got to realize lives are worth more important than having our sports back right now. It's something serious that we have to really be careful with.
Right.
We need to make sure we take care of the health of everybody before we jump into sports and just say we have sports back. So,
Bill? Anything to add?
Yeah, I know everybody's anxious. I know everybody's on the edge of their seat. I know everybody's going stir crazy. I know everybody's pulling their hair out or letting it grow. And it's still a situation where if we throw everything full speed ahead, we lose what we gained the last 3 months. And I'm just thinking if we could just hang in there a little bit longer and hope that there's some sort of cure that would help fight the effects, then you can be a little bit more aggressive about going forward. That's just how I look at it. I've got friends of mine that absolutely disagree completely. They say full speed ahead. You got to take chances. We can't live that way the rest of our lives. People are really hurting money-wise, and I get that. But I just think that in certain situations, you've got to find a way to minimize the risks and make sure that what you're doing is worth it.
Dad?
My takeaway is Father's Day. To all the dads out there, wish you all a happy Father's Day. Enjoy your day. You're going to get spoiled. They're gonna bring you beers and food and snacks all day long.
We are.
Me personally, I've got a venge game of miniature golf that's going to take place. That's usually a bloody mess. So I'm looking forward to Father's Day. But to all you guys, and Mario, you're a godfather, right?
5 times.
There you go. So you're included in the group as well. To all you gentlemen, have a great, safe Father's Day. Drink plenty of beers. John, drink plenty of water. Steve Harris, you're getting blocked from the show. That's my number one takeaway. So back to you, Lauren.
All right. So I will wish my dad a happy Father's Day, even though I'll see him on Sunday for this blood battle of a miniature golf game. We'll also be out at the Fightins. They have all of their outdoor dining set up to enjoy like ballpark food. You can play catch on the field. There's live music and stuff like that. So we'll head there for a little bit and then do miniature golf. But the one thing that I did want to mention for anyone who didn't catch this, her name is Natasha Cloud. She's actually a Broomall native, and she just became the first female rep for Converse from Broomall, went to O'Hara, and went to St. Joe's. So I thought that was pretty cool. I saw that story today on Jamie Apodi's page. And so a local girl becoming the first female representative for Converse. So I thought that was
Chuck Taylors. There you go.
Very cool.
We talked about that a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
So who usually
Very
wins
cool.
at miniature golf?
What's
depends
that?
on who you ask.
I said, who usually wins at miniature golf?
Lauren, I'll let you handle that one.
I
Do we
said it
know the-
depends on who you ask.
Do we have a career win-loss record? I mean, are we?
I mean, well, see, the problem is I was really bad when I was a kid because I didn't know what I was doing. So he definitely has more wins solely because he's older.
wow.
When you were 7 years old, he was beating he had you beat by like the 11th
Yeah,
hole.
like I wasn't one of those kids that drug the ball from the very beginning. No. He said back. We're taking this back and we're doing it the right way. No, there was no. And when you were this close to the hole, there was no like pushing it in. None of that.
But you're
it was
better
very
because of
serious.
that.
That's right. He taught you correctly.
Yep.
And you're a better person because of it.
Yep. So
And
So
so,
who won last year? Who won last year?
I don't know that we played last year.
We played last
We did
summer.
play down the shore in August, and I think I won. But I mean, we don't normally mention those ones.
I think this needs to be a show.
All right, we'll go live from there on Sunday.
There you go.
There you go.
It is a 27-hole course, which gets rather gruesome after a while.
What?
Yeah.
Marathon.
Wow.
Yeah.
And a six pack.
Every other
Only
hole-
a 6-pack and 27 holes?
I was going to say, every other hole should be a beer hole.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Lauren, you're a good sport. Win or lose, you're a good sport.
I try.
Oh,
And man,
God.
let me tell you, when she wins, oh my God.
That's not even true. Not even
Lordy,
true.
Lordy.
Oh, my God. All right. It is, we're almost 10 minutes after. So with that, we will say happy Father's Day. See you guys next Wednesday. And
Wednesday.
Bill, thanks
Bill
for
Maddox.
joining us.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yep. Thanks
Thank
for
you
joining
very
us,
much.
Bill.
Thank you.
You're always welcome on the show. Steve, we'll think about it. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
See you
Bye,
guys.
You guys.